Everybody, welcome to Ann Ortelee's weekly weather. This is for the week of December 21st to December 28th. We have another very busy week ahead as we head into Christmas and we finish up Hanukkah and forward we go. Also Boxing Day and Kwanzaa. Big excitement up there. Lots of holidays this week. Off into the adventures of the features of the week. So we're going to have Mars out of bounds until January 4th. We're going to have Venus out of bounds until January 4th. So the two of them, the personal planets of your desire and how you get things, are both out of bounds in very active signs. So they're really very clear. I want this. I want this. I want to go for this. Give it to me, please. So we're going to really find the intensity and the passion because Venus and Mars are out of bounds. We also have Venus squaring Saturn, and she's in Sagittarius, and she's squaring Saturn. We also have the Sun entering Capricorn, starting the winter solstice. I keep saying the summer solstice, but as he gets to the bottom of the Tropic of Capricorn, he stations for 3 days. Solstice, stop, Sun. Then we're going to have Venus, and then he climbs back up, heading towards summer on the east and the northern hemisphere. And the days are getting a minute longer. And on the southern hemisphere, they're at high summer, and they are going to have their days getting a minute shorter. We also have Venus quincunx Uranus, which is an adjusting energy, as Venus in Sagittarius has a little adjusting to Uranus in Capricorn, encouraging us to make some changes around how we're proceeding. And remember, she's out of bounds. So she's ruling Uranus, because Uranus is in Taurus. So this is a little interesting argument. We'll talk more about it when the chart pulls. And then Venus square Neptune later in the week. And then Venus entering Capricorn, where she's going to spend a few weeks. And then Mercury coming in to do his quincunx through Uranus. Forward we go. So today, Sunday, December 21st. The Sun squared Saturn in the middle of the night last night Venus squared Saturn in the middle of the night last night. And it's an interesting chart because the degrees on the world point, the angles were on the world point. So we see Venus here squaring Neptune. And again, we've been watching this sweep of planets, as they've come along. They've been squaring this Saturn Neptune in Pisces. And then they also are forming a finger of God when they form a quincunx to Jupiter, and then they form a quincunx to Uranus. So it's a square with a finger of fate, and making us face fated choices or come up with, oh, maybe we're going in that direction. Oh, okay, I'm in. I'll help. I'll do it. So we want to watch the choices we're being asked to make by the finger, with the Jupiter and the Uranus as the legs. And then we're going to watch what we're letting go of psychologically, the old issues, the old problems, the things that don't really work for us anymore, and that we need to let go of, right? There's an opportunity here to shift away from them and to do the psychological work of how we have to process. We also have the Sun entering Capricorn today. It entered it this morning on the 21st at 10:03 a.m. And this marks the winter solstice starting. And now we see the chart for the solstice, because this is an ingress chart. We always watch the ingresses carefully, because they say this is what the season is going to be like. When the sun enters a sign, it goes, this is what the month's going to be like. But when it enters Capricorn, because it's an ingress across quarter, the bottom, the equinoxes, and then the Cancer solstice in summer, this is a seasonal chart. So thinking of it as the longest night in the northern hemisphere, the longest day in the southern hemisphere, and then the planet starts to change direction and head back north, increasing in light every day for us in the northern hemisphere, and decreasing a minute in light every day for the southern hemisphere. And then when we get to the equinox, that balance between the equality of the equal day, equal night, which is the Aries Libra ingresses. So we're watching this as a theme for the year or the season this next 3 months. And when we look at this chart, we see that Jupiter is the ruler of the midheaven of the chart. These are cast for Washington. Adjust them for your own chart. But when we're looking at the country's chart, what are we going to be working on in this next season? You can see Jupiter's over here in Cancer on a world point, 22.5 cardinal. We see the sun on a world point, 0 Capricorn. We see Neptune on a world point, 29, almost 0 Aries. So with 3 planets on world points, and 2 of them being personal, or a little more personal, and 1 being more about the structures that are dissolving in your life, this chart represents a bit of financial insecurity that we're going to have this next 3 months, and also some changes in the workplace because Jupiter's retrograde in the employment house for the employees. The 6th house is the people of the country. If we think of this as a chart, kind of predicting what's going to happen in the US this next 3 months, we see Jupiter ruling the midheaven, which is the direction we want to head in, but it's a baby Sag. So it's not like a really well defined. We see a lot of energy in the 11th house. That's Congress. The 9th house is the Supreme Court. The 10th house is the executive branch. So we see a lot of energy there in the 11th house, which has got a lot of focus in terms of ideas and direction. And remember, we have Venus and Mars out of bounds. Now, Venus is going to come up quickly to catch Mars in a few weeks, but not even a few weeks, in a week. As she comes up, she's also going to form a conjunction with the sun, which is called a cazimi, or a Venus star point. And what she's doing is she's culminating a 4-year cycle that began 4 years ago in January. And she's saying, let's bring it out into the world. When Venus gets close to the sun and Mars, Venus and Mars are working together to get what you want. They're saying, well, what is it you want? Now, because Mercury is still in Sag, answering to Jupiter, this can be a little scattered. Like, maybe I want this, maybe I want that. I'm not quite sure, but we're going to be working on focusing on it and saying, okay, what's going on with Congress in this next chapter, this next 3 months, but also what's our work in groups? What are we going to see happening in the group environment that we're going to be paying attention to? The moon is out of bounds in Capricorn on this day of the ingress. And so that's important. We also see the moon Vesta with a lot of energy around housing and human, caring for how we care for people. And of course, insurance kind of is the 9th house thing, but hospitals and medicine are between 6th and 12. So we're going to see an emphasis on that. And we know we're going to have our insurance premiums going up under the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare. It's the same act. Some people go, oh, Affordable Care is Obamacare? Mm-hmm. Yep, it does both. But also as the subsidies for the premiums are taken away, watching that. And we do see a little bit of financial stress with Saturn and Neptune sitting on the edge of the 2nd house. And one of the things that happened when the last time these planets were here, Neptune was during the California gold rush. That's our Bitcoin this time. It's the last 14 years. And it was 14 years for the California gold rush. And we also had a financial correction, which was the dot-com crash. So being conscious of your money positions, kind of looking at your financial status, helpful. If you've got money in Bitcoin, you might consider taking some of it out of the market and turning it into cash, so that when the Bitcoin drop happens, you're not losing, everything you've quote unquote made, because it is all on paper unless you've taken it out. It's all digital unless you take it out of the bank. And then also with the Saturn and Pisces, there was a guy, I'm blanking on his name. He's a fairly well-known investment manager, and he shorted the housing market, which means he bet against the mortgage stuff. And of course, when we had the housing market collapse, when Pluto was in Capricorn in 2008, he made a lot of money. Well, he just shorted the AI stocks, and he is waiting, because that is a good portion of the Standard and Poor is the AI stocks, which are trading among themselves. And then there's this whole section that's sitting quietly, not doing a whole lot. So he made a lot of money shorting. He did apologize. He said, well, I knew it was going to crash. I knew it was a bubble. So I took, I bet on it, basically. I bet it would go down. It would go short. It would fall. So, knowing that we have a chart that kind of speaks to what's going on there with a planet ruling the money or the abundance going backwards. Jupiter's exalted in Cancer, but he is going backwards until March. So we're going to watch between now and March for that energy to come in. And of course, then in March, we're going to have the ingress into Aries. So it's an interesting chart in terms of this sun entering Capricorn and what it means for us for the season. As mentioned, these planets in Sag are going along and they're squaring the Saturn, and then they're also forming a finger of God. So Venus now is forming a quincunx to Uranus. Last week she had a quincunx to Jupiter. So she's the apex of a finger, encouraging us to step forward and move and do things. We also have a finger of God up here with Jupiter in Cancer. You can see the finger under there, that little green thing. When we have these many fingers, it's a fated time, Fated. We run into our fate of whatever our fate is, and we face it. We don't always like it, but we learn from it or we work with it. We can't control the actions that show up under fingers of God, but we can show how we choose to react to them. And so this is Venus quincunx Uranus on Tuesday. It's got an adjusting energy, and it says, how am I doing with my money, the things that are of value to me, adjusting to Uranus, the changes, the crazy, the stuff that's shifting. And remember, Venus is out of bounds. So with her out of bounds, she's a little wild and crazy, as is Mars. Venus rules our ascendant in DC, Libra house, 12th house, first house. Also rules our relationships to others and our financial status. So you may find out there's been some financial shenanigans going on, or financial things come to light that you have to handle. And of course, it is Christmas week. So that's always a little bit hard to have to do financial stuff in Christmas week. But it also is a year-end time. I know in my case, I'm making sure I'm paying all my vendors that I owe. I was looking at my bank account, and my accountant didn't take out her money. I couldn't get her paying thing to work, so I emailed her. So I'm going to send her a note, remind her to take out her money. So this is an opportunity to kind of balance the books and think about, and also make a plan, lay a budget for next year, because we are having Saturn going into a sign where he is not particularly wealthy. He's working hard, but when he's in Aries, he's not necessarily wealthy. And he's hanging out with Neptune. So he's saying, well, we're working on the new dream. We're getting it grounded. We're getting it put into place. But do I actually have money to do it? So we were kind of and we saw from the solstice chart that from the sun entering Capricorn chart, that there is a financial component that's very strong in the first quarter of 2026. Next, we have Venus square Neptune right before she goes void. Again, these squares are coming in to square things. She's hanging out with who she partners with. So this is Christmas Eve, December 24th, where we're looking and we're saying, okay, what's that energy that I'm taking action on? Again, Venus is ruling the chart and ruling relationships and finances. So as she has the square to Neptune, there's a level of deception. There's also a level of illusion and delusion. So don't go crazy buying Christmas money, spending Christmas money, because Venus square Neptune has got that energy of, I bought this thing and did they even like it? Right. So I'm encouraging a relatively conservative Christmas, just because these planets are out of bounds and are tending to be a little over the top. Now, I'm totally good with you spending over the top if you've got it, but because we're working with the year ahead looking a little more frugal, making choices that are, holiday tends to be the time when most people spend a lot of money. Next, we have Venus going into Capricorn. Now she gets really serious. She's gone into an earth sign. She's answering to Saturn on the ascendant. in Pisces. So now she's a little bit watery and emotional and feeling. Now, the good part about Saturn and Venus in Venus in Capricorn and Saturn in Pisces is they're in mutual reception. Venus loves being in Pisces and Saturn loves being in Capricorn. So there's an opportunity for the two of them to work out an exchange and a relationship. And she is in Capricorn. Now notice she's straddling the sun. She's about to have a cazimi with the sun in the next couple days, which is called the Venus star point, and it initiates kind of an idea of a direction that we want to head in and what's important to us. And we think back 4 years ago to January of 2021 when Venus and the Sun met in, and formed a conjunction that now we're working with the culmination of. And that energy in terms of how we want to handle it. We also see Venus and Mars straddling the sun. So this is very good aspects for saying, you know what I would really like? We know what would be good, what would be good. Can we maybe do this? Because those planets are high in the chart and they have a focus and an intention. We do see Saturn and Neptune in the first. So that's a little bit lack of clarity in terms of what we're looking at. But we also have Juno up there squaring the Saturn and Neptune. So we can get into some partnerships with this that may or may not be something we end up wanting to be in, but we certainly can get partnership offers with this Venus going into Cap, where she'll spend a few weeks. Then we have now, next up, we have little Mercury coming along, galloping along, and he's now forming a quincunx to Uranus. I'm sorry, to Jupiter. That's incorrect. Mercury's forming a quincunx over to Jupiter, starting the finger of God. And then he will have a quincunx to Uranus next week. And another finger of God coming in. We also see Jupiter here as the apex of a finger with Mercury and Athena. So this is very good for strategic ideas and strategic approaches. So you want to pay attention to that. On Saturday, the new ideas that are coming in, the relationships that look interesting. It's also an opportunity about moving or buying property or finding real estate that you're interested in, or maybe even saying, one of my goals this year is to get a different kind of housing. So I'm going to focus on that. A lot of emphasis here in the 12th house, things going on behind the scenes, things going on overseas. So we'll kind of pay attention to that. And we also will adjust our understanding of relationships with Venus in a quincunx to not Uranus, but Jupiter. And then later next week, when Venus gets to 28, she'll be in a quincunx to Uranus. And the two of them form a finger, inviting us to think differently. So all these planets, Mars, Sun, Mercury, our Mars, Sun, Venus, Juno have gone through this gauntlet, and kind of set us up for a new chapter beginning as they all go into Capricorn. The other thing that's happening when they all go into Capricorn is we have Earth in the sky. All fall, we did not have Earth in the sky. Now we have Earth. It brings us down to Earth, grounds us. Bad day can make us be depressed. Good day makes us feel much less floaty, being carried away by other people's agendas. We're much more able to focus on our own. So that's helpful. And moons this week. Sunday, the moon is in Capricorn out of bounds. Monday, the moon is in Capricorn out of bounds, and it goes void with a sextile to Neptune at 9:44 a.m. It enters Aquarius at 10:52 a.m. Tuesday, the moon's in Aquarius. Wednesday, the moon's in Aquarius, and it goes void at 4:42 p.m. The moon in Aquarius goes void with a square to Uranus. And this is a closing square, so it's going to ask us to psychologically understand where we need to change and break free. And then the moon will enter Pisces at 8:09 p.m. Wednesday. Thursday, we are Christmas Day, and the moon is in Pisces. Friday, the moon is in Pisces, which is Boxing Day and Kwanzaa beginning. Saturday, the moon is in Pisces, and it goes void at 2:03 in the morning, joining Neptune, and enters Aries at 3:02 in the morning, and then it'll be in Aries on Sunday, and it goes void with a trine to Mercury at 9:13. So Sunday looks to be a good travel day because the moon is in Aries, which is a nice day for driving the cars, answering to the Mars, out of bounds in Cap, opportunity for some tickets with that out of bounds Mars. But we also have good driving then. Also, with the Thursday and the Friday moon in Pisces, there may be a cold or a flu with that because it's not like the tribe is gathering and happy. It's Piscean, so people need to sleep. Maybe people are a little emotional. Pisces sometimes has like there's like a little flu or cold that goes around when Christmas is on Piscean energy, so hopefully not. We don't want to get everybody sick, but I would be, if people call and go, I can't come, I have a problem or something happened. I had a friend who called who just had her teeth pulled and was going to be joining us for Christmas and said, I'm really not up for it with the drugs and my limited ability to chew and my infection and my antibiotics. And I'm like, totally get it. Christmas, Pisces moon, stay home and stay in bed. So if we look at the energy for the week, also what each day has, Sunday had a little bit of stress, not too much, but a good productive day in getting things done because it was a Capricorn moon. Monday, Hanukkah ends, and it's got a lot of flowing energy. So Monday's the 22nd is pretty happy. The 23rd has the adjustment from Venus to Uranus, but it also has a nice energy for us moving forward. Not a lot of aspects, and the aspects it has are good. Thursday or Wednesday rather is got a little bit of stress. We have a couple of squares and a couple of quincunxes that kind of make us feel a little plus we have Venus going into Capricorn that day. So she's grounding out of Sat. She's still out of bounds, but she's grounding. She's not flying around. And of course, that's Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve at 8:09, moon goes into Pisces. I've gotten out of going to midnight mass, but I like to watch the Vatican. I like to watch the Pope on the mass at midnight in on TV. So good night for watching the Pope on TV and so Wednesday is kind of, a mixed bag day. Uh, Christmas Day, very flowing. Moon is in a sextile to the sun. Moon is in the sextile to Mars. Moon in Pisces is in a working energy with those Earth planets. Kwanzaa on Friday and Boxing Day generally a nice energy. It's got some easy energies working with it. Little bit of stress on Saturday because we're at an opening quarter for the moon, and we also have we're in an Aries moon on Saturday. So the moon goes into Aries bright and early in the morning, and that moon has squares. It squares the Venus, it squares the sun, it squares the Mars. So it's a little assertive, a little aggressive, and it's a little argumentative. So you want to kind of be, if you're going out, a lot of people go out and do shopping because things are on sales. Do it on Thursday or on Friday rather than Saturday. And then Sunday, nice day, Moon Jupiter square, good for travel, good for driving, good for getting out there. Moon's not nearly as active. There can be some problems and flight delays on the 27th if you're flying that day, because Mercury has the hard aspect to Jupiter, which we talked about. And so there can be some snow, flight delays, problems on the 27th. And that is the energy for the week. Also, next week on Monday, the 29th, I'm going to be doing my Setting Your Intentions for 2006. It runs from 7:30 to 9:30. You will get a month-by-month astrological overview of the year, pointing out how to make the most of it. And because I was just in Cleveland, they had me do it in a different format where I talk about where the planets are in each sun sign's house. So you'll be able to look ahead and see where you're going to be feeling Jupiter? Where are you going to be feeling Saturn? Where is Uranus going to change your life? So it was an interesting exercise. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I've incorporated it now into the intentions for 2026. So it'll be the same as it always is, with this new added on thing for, hey, you're a Pisces. This is what's going on for you. So hopefully that gives you some ideas about how to work with the week ahead and also how to set your intentions for 2026. And I invite you to join me on Monday, the 29th. If you can join it. You can buy it live. You can sign up and get the slides sent out to you, or you can purchase it on Sendowl after it's finished. So hopefully you have a wonderful holiday. Happy Hanukkah ending. Happy Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Boxing Day. It's the holiday season. And have a really good week. Bye-bye.